Good afternoon to you. We will continue with the Constitution. As you know, we have started Election Commission in the last class. We have seen the difference between constitutional, statutory, and executive authorities, and the sketch, the framework of Election Commission we have seen. Today we will continue with the Election Commission, especially with reference to its powers and functions. Before we proceed, let me clarify 2 points. Chief Election Commissioner and election commissioners enjoy the same status and receive the same salary, perks equal to the judge of the Supreme Court. So, they are equal to the Supreme Court judge. Second point is, their salary, allowances and other expenses are not charged into the Consolidated Fund of India. Remember, in the case of CAG, the charges, the salary and allowances and other secretariat expenses are charged upon the Consolidated Fund of India. Whereas in the case of Election Commission, this is not so. To that extent, their freedom is curtailed. So, election commissioners' expenses are subject to vote of the Parliament, whereas the salary and allowances of CAG can only be discussed but cannot be voted by the Parliament. It is charged directly to Consolidated Fund of India. These 2 points, remember, from the PT point of view, it is important. Then, Election Commission enjoys 3 distinct functions. Number 1, administrative. Number 2, advisory. Number 3, quasi-judicial. We will see in these details. The administrative functions, the first year they have to hold the election for the Parliament and the state legislatures. Then they have to go hold election for the President of India as well as Vice President of India. Remember, the elections for panchayats and municipalities have been given to the separate state election commission set up under the 73rd and 74th Amendment Act 1992. Again, important from PT point of view. Second function is to determine the territorial area of the constituencies on the basis of Delimitation Act of Parliament made in 2002. Depending every 10 years, on the basis of the census, the Delimitation Act will be made by the Parliament. Then to prepare and update the electoral rolls to enable the register of voters. To schedule and notify the elections and scrutiny of nominations. To recognize the political parties and also to allot symbols. Here you should know the criteria for national party and criteria for state parties. Very important from the examination point of view. For being a national party, the party should secure at least 6% of the valid votes polled in any 4 or more states at the general election of Lok Sabha. How much percentage? 6% of the valid votes to the general election. That is, at the general election to Lok Sabha or to state assembly. And in addition, it should win at least 4 seats in Lok Sabha from 1 or more states. Or alternatively, it should win at least 2% of the seats, that is 11 seats in Lok Sabha, and elected at least from 3 states. Remember. Or the party has been recognized as a state party at least in 4 states. Remember, 3 alternatives have been given. Of the 3, any one should be satisfied. Now, what do you mean by the state party? Any party securing 6% of the votes polled in the state in the general elections to the assembly of the state concerned, plus 2 seats in the assembly of the concerned state. Remember, 6% of the votes polled in the state in the general election to the assembly, plus 2 seats in the assembly. Or the party wins 3% of the total seats. 3% of the total seats, or 3 seats in the assembly, whichever is more. So, second alternative. Third alternative, in the general elections to Lok Sabha in the state, it wins at least 1 seat for every 25 Lok Sabha seats or any fraction thereof allotted to the state. 25 seats, if there is a 25 seat, 1 seat should be 1. For example, let us say in Uttar Pradesh there are 100 seats, for example only. So they should out 1 seat for 25. So they should win 4 seats. So in general election to Lok Sabha in the state, it wins at least 1 seat for every 25 seats or any fraction thereof allotted to that state. Then, or in the general election to the state concerned, the candidates set up by the party secures 6% of the total valid votes polled in the state. For example, let us say one particular party, they set up all the 200 assembly constituencies, one candidate, and these candidates secure 6% of the total votes polled in the state, and in addition, the party wins at least 1 seat in Lok Sabha from the state in the said general election. So, 1 seat in Lok Sabha or 6% of the total valid votes polled in the state, these 2 conditions should be satisfied. At present, there are only 7 national parties, that is Trinamool, BSP, BJP, CPM, INC, Indian National Congress Party, Nationalist Congress Party, then National People Party. The youngest national party is the National People Party. CPA also, it is one of the parties, totally 8, but it seems they have been given the notice because last election they secured less than the required. So, as of now, you can remember 8 parties, national parties, including CPI. Now, the other function is to determine the code of conduct for the parties and the candidates to be observed. Then, to prepare a roster for publicity for the parties to enable their policy propaganda. Then, to advise President and Governor on matters relating to the disqualification of members of Parliament and members of legislature. This includes post-election disqualification of sitting members. Remember, sitting members also. This includes not only the members who are for being a member, it includes sitting members of Parliament and state legislatures. For example, for holding the office of profit. The cases of persons found guilty of corrupt practices at elections which are dealt with by Supreme Court and High Court are also referred to the Election Commission for their opinion, and their opinion will be sent to the court before the decision. The Commission has the powers to disqualify a person who has not lodged the account of his election expenses within the time stipulated and as prescribed in the law. Secondly, the Commission has also the powers to remove or reduce the period of disqualification and also other disqualifications under the law. Remember, these are very important powers in section 11 of RPA Act 1951. You should know section 11 of RPA, because remember, RPA Act, the Representation of People Act 1951 is one of the topics included in the syllabus of the Indian polity, both for prelim as well as for main. Remember, it is included in the syllabus. So, naturally, it is a very important topic. Especially this section 11 of RPA 51 was in the news recently. As recently as 3rd October 2019. 3rd October 2019, remember, there are two sections of RPA 1951 is important. One is section 11 and second is section 8 within bracket 4. Section 8 of RPA or 1951 is also important. That is disqualification of the members of parliament, even though they have filed an appeal, in which case Lalu Prasad Yadav have been disqualified. So these two sections are very important. This section 11 especially important because it was recently in the news. On 3rd October 2019, when the Election Commission reduced the period of disqualification from electoral contest of Sikkim Chief Minister Prem Singh Tamang. What is his name? Prem Singh Tamang, for 13 months. See, the case is very simple. He was convicted for under what is called Prevention of Corruption Act, and because nothing, he has taken 3.93 lakh, 9.5 lakh, etc. It was a misappropriation of 9.5 lakh. So it was proved, he was found guilty and he was convicted for 13 months, 1 year and 1 month, and he made an appeal to the High Court, it was rejected. He made appeal to the Supreme Court, it was also rejected. Then Mr. Tamang was convicted under PCA for misappropriation and he went to jail and he was released in August 2018. In early 2019, January and February, he was sworn in as the Chief Minister by the Governor of Sikkim because his party, that is, I think, Sikkim Krantikari Party, he was leader of the party and his party came with thumping majority. They have an alliance with, I think, from BJP. And what happened is, he was elected, even though he is not a member. And even though he did not contest the election, he was chosen as the party leader of the Sikkim Krantikari Party. And he was chosen as the leader of the majority party. Naturally, governor has administered oath of office for Mr. Prem Singh. Now the question that his appointment as Chief Minister was challenged in the Supreme Court. The argument is that CM's appointment was in disregard of the Supreme Court its own orders in 2001 in Jayalalitha's case, in which her appointment as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu was quashed by the Supreme Court. Remember, she was also convicted under the PCA. So, when she was convicted under PCA and when she was disqualified, how he can be appointed as the Chief Minister? Because both were convicted under the PCA. But there is a small snag in this. The snag is, prior to 2003, any person who has been imprisoned for 2 years or more, then he is disqualified for 6 years from the date of release. Kindly understand the snag. Originally, the provision was, if a person was convicted for an offence and sentenced to an imprisonment of 2 years or more, then after his release for 6 years, he is disqualified. What happened is, this is for all the offences which carried the imprisonment. Now, 2003, there was an amendment. Under the amendment to the PCA and RPA, what is the amendment? Amendment is, any person who has been convicted under PCA, irrespective of the term of imprisonment, he will be disqualified for contesting election for 6 years. So, his case fell in 2001 and the amendment came in 2003. His argument is, you cannot apply the amendment made in 2003 to his case, which happened in 2001. This is under Article 20. No person can be, for the same offence, he cannot be punished more than, protection against the ex post facto law. You cannot apply a law retrospectively. So, based on this, he made an appeal. Supreme Court seems to have referred the case to the Election Commission, and the Election Commission, they have exempted him They have reduced the disqualification, and the case was referred to the EC, who used the section 11 and removed the disqualification attached to the conviction. Whether this is perfectly correct or incorrect, we are nobody. When it has been decided and approved by the Election Commission and it has not been questioned by the Supreme Court, we are nobody to question it. We are all Supreme Court, it is supreme. So there is no question of, and it is rationally, it is sounds well, because you cannot apply a law retrospectively. His offence is every person should be tried by the law in force at the time of commission of the offence. When he committed in 2001, what is the penalty? Is 1 year and 1 month, but it is less than 2 years. So naturally, he cannot be disqualified for 6 years, because the sentence is only less than 2 years. But in 2003, after his conviction, 2003 the amendment happened. So the case can be applied only in respect of cases happened after 2003, not prior to 2003. That is my humble opinion. I do not dispute with any of the other things. According to my common sense, this is the correct decision. So we will deal with it in another next class in detail. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.